Hello everybody, if everything is alright here, technically we should be live now, live from Joris Potvliege's house, so it is a little bit of a different environment. It's 18th of June 2017 in case you watch this much later. And the reason that we are here, Anja also, I will show a little bit around here, we are here in the so-called clavichord room, is that Anja and I paid a visit to Joris today, visiting our piano here, which if you have missed the videos I've made about it this week, the soundboard is fixed into the piano, into the instrument, so glued into the instrument, fixed, really nothing to be changed anymore, and it really sounds wonderful. There are no strings on the instrument, so it's not finished yet, but again, symbolically it is finished. So I'll show you a little bit of the piano, talk a little bit about that. I will be talking also on Beethoven's opus 40 number 1, the rondo part, so the third movement. We might skip the second one because of time, talking a little bit about the piano and the other clavichords, because there are 3 clavichords here in this room, all in playable condition. I will only play on this one, and there is even another one in another room, but unfortunately my webcam cable is not long enough to show you, but I think with 3 clavichords here and 1 pianoforte, I think we are all happy, shouldn't we be? So, so the Beethoven will be for in a few minutes. If you watch this live stream later, I will put the link in the description box so you can skip this part if you would like to. As we speak, I am going to try to access my own live stream. As always, that's very challenging for me on these devices, and of course I don't see anything move here. So maybe I will give it to Anja and ask her if she can manage this. What I will do now, oh there's this, is just turn the camera around and see if I can detach my webcam to come a little bit closer to the piano. There is not so much to see. There are a lot of details of course, but again the instrument is not playing. There is a kind of color here, black, very matte, but that's of course not going to stay like that. That's just a basic coloring, and it needs to be polished. I don't know how many layers, and then it will be very shiny, but in a way that's really beautiful. It's showing all kinds of black, brown colors, and of course the finishing of the piano should be with a little bit of gold and bronze, and that will be perfect, I think. So what I'm going to do is, before I'm going to play, I'm going to turn the webcam, so I will disappear 30 seconds because it's really a mess here with cables. Show you where Anja is at Joris' desk, and I'll show you the other clavichords. I'm going to turn my laptop here, you will see that in a minute. So obviously we are looking now at the clavichord. Here that's not Joris Potvliege's instrument, his own instrument is at someone's house. He changed this because of some strings in the bass will be replaced, so that's not his own beautiful instrument, by the way. That's the pianoforte back in the back, so here it is. I will tap on the soundboard. I don't think you will hear, maybe. I'll try the other side. You might hear it because I did not bring my microphones, but these are quite okay, so you should hear it. So there is a lot of life in the instrument, and certainly in the future we will talk about it more. I will make also a video later or tomorrow to upload separately on the instrument. So, but turn around, but first see Anja here in Joris' desk.
Hello.
So there she's following your chat if you're on the chat, and
Yes.
if I miss something because of my telephone is not working, then she will notify me. So I turn around, and I hope you won't get seasick now. There is not a clavichord, beautiful instrument, and if you see underneath that clavichord, so over there, that's the keyboard of the piano. So 6 octaves, and that's the keyboard that will serve for hopefully many music of Beethoven, because that's the reason why I'd like to have the instrument in the first place, of course, not only Beethoven. I turn again, there you see the mixing console for the live stream. So if I turn the you see here the laptop with all the electronics things for the live stream. That's a specky clavichord. This is actually Joris van Ingersle's instrument. It's also something to do with the strings. They're going to change some strings in the treble, I think. So it's all full of life here with instruments, and that's always like that. So I turn it again to the piano, and then I will show up. I don't know if my telephone is working now, so I can say hello to you.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
But I don't know how I get the sound off.
Okay, that's something I can manage.
That's the chat.
So I can say hello to you now. Wonderful. Oh well, if you see this, I've never seen it like that. So you can see the chat over an overlay. But that's, I don't know how that works. So Sophie is in the chat. Hello Sophie. Still up. But I asked her to watch because she found it very exciting that we were at Joris' place to live stream from there. George Harteman, great to have you. Robin, as always, thank you for the 4,000 subscribers now with the piano up to the 40,000. Just joking, we were very, very proud of that. 4,000 subscribers it's not a number as I wrote on Facebook, it are really people, 4,000 people that in some way or another are touched by the clavichord and music on the clavichord, and that's unbelievable. That's Joseph, welcome. Bruce, welcome to have you here. Wayward Shepherdess, bonjour, so I guess from France. It's my first live stream, yes, that's a new name, welcome here. And it's like with the live streams, there's kind of community thing going. People know each other from the chat, and that's Peter, welcome here. And you've been here a few days ago. Joris was telling me about your visit and your interesting story about the island there. Really mind-blowing actually. So, João Vitor Simões, I hope I pronounce your name well, but I guess I will be wrong. Welcome here. Katsuhiro Takino, great to have you. Martin Islava from Arizona, great to have you back. It's Sunday, so it won't be lunchtime, I guess. But Luca, great to have you. You told me that you will pass by a few minutes. Great. And V. Elliot. Yeah, he asks if it's very hot here. It is. So the instrument clavichord, I hope it will stay on tuning a little bit, but that's not so important now. Okay. So please, if we come to talk about Beethoven now, there is a portrait of him hanging on the wall. I'll show you a little bit better. That's not an original one, but it's I think late 19th century, very beautiful one. So it's very symbolic to have the piano there and the clavichord. I will open it now and play Beethoven. So everything is coming into a circle. If you have questions, do not hesitate to ask them. You know, as always, there is a kind of delay on the live stream, so you are watching the real live, so to say, 1 minute or so behind, 30 seconds to 1 minute. So if you want to ask something, just put it in the chat. Anya is reading it all, and if I miss something, which probably will, because I will be focusing on the score and on my story on Beethoven, Anya will give a yell and say, hey, stop, you missed something. So don't hesitate to do that. And, or to just, hello Leopold. Someone I know personally, so great to have you. So don't hesitate to do that. And she's interrupting me if necessary. I was going to say something else. Oh yeah, so as always with the Masterclass lives, a very short shout out to my Patreons on patreon.com. There is a link in the description box. I'm doing that because they are making this financially possible as well. It's mind-blowing to see how that community is growing really fast actually, and it's really supporting the things we are doing. If you're interested in just checking it out, there is a link, and even from $1 a month you can support the things we're doing. and it's really a lot. We are really on a bridge now with authentic sound. That this story is becoming bigger than only my thing and our thing. We have to think about the future and how to serve people in a better way, even because that's what my goal is, to give you things and to serve you with in the best way I can. So if you would like to check it out, you're welcome, and that's completely free, of course, but that's a short shout out to my patrons, and I'm really thankful and grateful for them to support the things we are doing. I was just looking to Anja.
Martin asked something. I don't know if you see it. I was wondering if you recorded or plan to record the list transcriptions of the Beethoven.
Very interesting question. For sure I'm going to play transcriptions from Beethoven symphonies, Mozart symphonies, and other things. Love to do also chamber music, so chamber music, but that's for later. And if I will be using the list transcriptions, I might be a little bit too late for the style of the instrument. I have to give it a check. Jenny also wrote some of them, and I'm sure he did some Mozart as well, and probably they are very good. And so, and if some are missing or not fitting the instrument, I could ask my friend Kostas Papasafaropoulos, the Greek composer. It would be a great collaboration, and maybe we just made some new ones, and then I will not make my own transcriptions because first I don't have time for that, and I'm not trying to do that. So, but we were certainly going to play, I'm certainly going to play Beethoven transcriptions on that instrument you're seeing there. In fact, we will start a project all of Beethoven. Not sure yet if we are going to play really every keyboard work and then some transcriptions, or just the major ones. There are some, I don't know. The All of Beethoven project will last for 7 or 10 years. Will be combined with the All of Bach project, keyboard works. We have done the partitas. They will be released in October, November. In July, August, I'm covering the Wohltemperiertes Klavier number 1 to 8, and of course integrate also an update on the partita project. So, and then there's a Mozart project, but that's over the years to come. So yes, we will play transcriptions, and maybe four-handed as well. I'd love to do some things with 2 keyboards, with 2 clavichord as well. So, okay, without further ado, to say like that, we're going to cover some Beethoven. And I see another question. Katsuhiro Takino asks, was Beethoven influenced by Bach? Yes, definitely. So the title of the channel now, this kind of a mantra, is From Bach to Beethoven. There is now a big discover on the channel, if you've seen that it's influenced by a great guy named Evan Carmichael. If you're not familiar with who he is, if you want to be inspired, he is certainly the guy. And he was giving a lecture, actually. I was saying, your one word, what's your one word? And in fact, it's about emotions. Music is about emotions. And what we are doing now with the clavichord, later with the Beethoven, also with the tempo story, discovering new layers of emotions. Basically, that's what it's about. It's about playing, it's about performing, it's about sharing emotions. And I have the feeling that with just taking another perspective, combining things, and then come back to your question, you're discovering layers of emotion, of certain things that were hidden until then, for me personally, and that's the reason I want to share that with you. So Bach and Beethoven, you cannot say that there is a line from Bach to Beethoven if you would just see the tradition. And the second generation Bach students like Gottlob Turk, they were not of big influence on Beethoven directly, but for instance Beethoven was a student of Gottlob Neefe, so played a lot of clavichord in Bonn, but Gottlob Neefe in one way or another is second generation Bach student, so there he got the tradition of playing the Wohltemperiertes Klavier from people who are really close to the original. Gottlob Neefe was really not a friend, but he was really close to Emanuel Bach. Yeah, Joris is pointing to 12 Clavier Sonata from Gottlob Neefe, and it's really unique. I hope you can see it, because that's very rare that a composer indicates music to be played on clavichord in the first place. So keyboard was a generic term for all keyboard instruments, a little bit more clavichord, but that's for another topic. So that's where Beethoven studied. So yeah, there was a strong tradition. the book of Carl Manuel Bach was really influential throughout the whole 18th century. So even when Czerny went to Beethoven to study, Beethoven was saying to the father of Czerny, buy first the book of Immanuel Bach and let them read that before you come for the first lesson. So, not saying that Beethoven played like Bach, but they were aware of a tradition that was very strong, and certainly in notation that's so much overlooked. If you go to the Tempo Ordinario, basically Misure Ordinaire in Bach's time, there is a connection with Beethoven. They didn't change that. It was an evolution, of course. So again, not saying that Beethoven was using the same understanding of all the terminology and all the tempo. It's much related to tempo because that's a basic understanding, it's a basic parameter you have to choose if you go to make a performance, if you want to interpret a work. Not saying that Beethoven was really at the same line of Bach, but there was an evolution, and that's really interesting to go deep into that. That's what I'm sharing also mainly on the channel. And that's also giving new input and new directions and new way of looking to the music we all know so well. Okay, I hope that answered your questions a little bit. Okay, we're going to dive into Beethoven. I'm putting my phone a little bit out of the way and I'm going to play the rondo. It's a new instrument for me. It sounds different than mine. Very beautiful, very transparent. So, building a clavichord or an instrument, from the outside you would say it's very much like my instrument. It has beautiful inlay work, which mine doesn't have. But of course that doesn't change the sound. But everything that's underneath the soundboard and all kind of small details gives just another sound. Like changing some parameters in the performance gives another result as well. So what I'm going to do is just play a few lines of the rondo and then we're going to start to talk about that. Okay, here we go. Okay, and so the movement I'm choosing here is Allegro con modo. That's something I have to look up, and I forgot to do it time after time after time. What really the comodo is meaning in that time, I imagine that it is in the kind of reinforcement of the Allegro, which is Allegro, as we've been saying in the previous live stream. If you go to Czerny's explanation of the word Allegro, he gives a definition of 10 or 12 different characters, in fact, and only with number 5 or 6 he starts to talk about a kind of liveliness, bravura-like, maybe even increasing the tempo. So the first definition Czerny gives is ruhig, so very calm. And in any case, it's lively, but it's friendly. And that's what this piece very much is, full of humor as well, which is of course very much close to every rondo. We will talk about that. I'm doing something that's not indicated here, which is playing the left hand a little bit staccato. And the reason I'm doing that is because first I like it, and it works great on the clavichord. I can assume though that if I would play this piece on the piano, which has compared to the clavichord, a slower sound production, so to say, and of course the sound is gigantic compared to a clavichord, that I would play it a little bit more legato. But here I like the contrast very much. So emphasis on the left hand in the first note, of course. So they have this crescendo really downwards, but on the melody. Crescendo. And then contrast. And there is a little note after it. If you don't have the score, I can show you. It's over here. So I don't know if you see that. Yeah, it's focusing. So there's a Joram, and then later on you have the same note. I'll show it to you, illustrate it to you. That's a very important one, because this one, so not overplay this. You and then a little bit of rest. And the theme is for me, if I would translate this to an image, it's someone walking outside in the blue sky in the spring, not in the summer. It's not too hot, not like today. It's over 30 degrees. Very, we would say in Dutch, content, which is meaning very satisfied, in a very positive way. So maybe singing a little bit, maybe carrying an umbrella for if it's going to rain. Wind is just going through the leaves. It sounds silly, but that's the character I have. Some green blue color, so not aggressive in any way. Very friendly. Also here. It's ending here and then coming back. Surprise left hand. And also here gives the light touch, the humor. And if you come across this kind, we have talked about it in other Beethoven pieces. So you have here triplets, you have 16th notes as a kind of liveliness. If you take this, and suddenly there are half notes. So, and when I was in piano class in Amsterdam, we were told that if you have these long notes, to overplay them a little bit, because you cannot stand still in music, which is true. If you feel as a listener that the music is standing still, then you're doing something wrong as a performer. This has nothing to do with tempo. It has to do with an interest, I don't know the word. So a feeling within the note that you have this tension. Long notes can be very exciting. So just playing in the same tempo, a kind of waiting for the next note, but certainly timing them enhances the character of a piece, and certainly the contrast. So you end like this. Even here you can wait, and then pianissimo. Also these bows. You require an accent. And then the bridge to the repeat of the rondo theme. And that's so typically for a rondo. Every time the theme comes, you hear the same, of course, in the beginning. Not with Beethoven because it's going to change, but a kind of. And then it gives a kind of reflection of what was. And that same rondo theme is a kind of benchmark within the piece, giving a new color every time, a new interpretation of the pieces of the music that is in between, and that's always great to the rondo. So here again, this innocent, joyful tune. So we have to have have this, very cantabile, very sweet actually. We've had the modulations also. And it ends like question mark, comes the same. Surprising. And then he's using the same material as he did before in a kind of sequential context. This is something new because the bass stays at a D. So he's leading to somewhere else, and that's of course we're going to see where. Possibly. And of course here it's really important. Beethoven has indicated the top note as an accentuated note, but of course that's really important. And I played a little bit marcato. I wouldn't play it legato. That's here too much, too less of a contrast. I would make the contrast as big as possible. Sorry. Also here the top note is really important. Tom, 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 because that's your melody. Also here. Tom, tom, pa, pom. So then I have to tell you this. So you have forte, suddenly piano. It gets darker. It starts to rain. Piano, repetition, conclusion, false conclusion, really dark. Genius conclusion. And then, again, the rondo theme. You hear now how the rondo theme becomes a kind of really, it's really emotional piece, part of it, and then comes the rondo theme as a kind of relief, because that we know. And again, it's kind of counterbalancing the emotions that we had in the previous part. So the beautiful also here how Beethoven comes to a real grey situation, just a big contrast. Melody. Of course, Beethoven is not indicating that, but why should he? That's also up to your taste as a performer, how long that you take these notes. But if he would like to have those notes long, like I'm playing them now, how could he write that? He could have, of course, made a note, a triplet with the upper note, the C, with the stave upwards as a quarter note, but that's too complicated. And if you play on an instrument like that, you hear what note you can make longer and what not. So that's also related to the instrument type and your own taste, but it's really perfectly possible to do that, to make a longer note out of a triplet. If you have string players and woodwind players, they do it all the time. This kind of division between making notes accentuated to have them a kind of add to them a kind of cantabile singing quality, and the others are just the rhythmical impulses or just giving the harmonies. And of course, you can make them as well a little bit longer. But then the B, that's really kind of a big signal. It's piano. And you have this quarter rest, which is really important because you come back to this B time after time after time. It's really the end, it's the end note. So it's like as if the right hand is trying to go somewhere else, but the bass is there to hold you. So I play also at the beginning legato. I go more to the articulated phase in the second bar, and I go really staccato, portato more in the upper note, and I make a rallentando. Depends also on the instrument. And then comes the rondo. Palm, important. Repetition of the beginning. Then comes the same. Very cantabile. Sorry, I was too far. Piano. Surprise. Opening a totally new world at the end of the piece. That's Beethoven. Coming back to the main key, and then he's changing the rondo theme in a brilliant way. So you have syncopations against the triplets. And then I start to play the triplets cantabile, so in a more legato way, to give the right hand, which has syncopations, and a little bit more difficult to play them cantabile, to give a kind of more blending sound, a different sound. And then the bass, very brutal. You can skip this few bars or just go a little bit faster, which is possible to have a little slight accelerando, not an accelerando but kind of rubato playing. But I like to play it really steady because it gives kind of brutality at the end, which is of course full of humor because he's not serious about this. And it's really, maybe brutality is not the right word, it's more kind of ultra playfulness. That's maybe the best word, or a better word. A little bit more drama, which is not real drama. Because you can feel it all the theme already. Here it is, but in a very nice alteration. It's a kind of reflection on the reflection on the reflection. It's beautiful ending. Piano is very sweet. So that's a piece full of humor, and that's with many pieces of Beethoven the same. So, well, I just went through the piece. There are so many aspects of what you can touch upon. We didn't touch upon tempo this time. I can check if you would like me to do what the beat, what Moses and Czerny are giving. But it's important not to forget that if you are playing a piece of music, and of course you can read it all over the place, but we, including myself, are forgetting sometimes that the most important thing is that to hit the effect of the piece right. So, and right is what you understand to be right. And once you hit that effect right, hope for yourself that you are convinced, well, like that's for me this is a kind of bluish, greenish, very friendly walk in springtime kind of thing. And there can be a color, there can be an abstract feeling, it's something that you attach to that piece. Then all parameters, of course, have to blend into that one effect. That's the most important thing. Of course, that's something you can change easily by just changing some of those parameters. If I would play a little bit faster, let's say, not to say that you cannot play it faster, it's up to you. It's up to you what you understand in the notation. But you can hear that the character is changing suddenly. You get a little bit more of a hurried effect, like a guy who's walking, not walking, but running. And maybe in bad, worse weather, he wants to get at home. I'm just saying something, but changing a little bit is changing a lot. They go slower. Very silly, but then I see a little bit older guy. But once you have that kind of effect that you would think, well, that's what the piece is about. Leopold Mozart writes very beautiful about that, Emanuel Bach as well. Then you start, of course, to look to the parameters which you have, the parameters which are in the score. The score is what is guiding you then. And sometimes you come to a conclusion that you have to shift your effect because it's not covered by the notation or whatever. But that's, of course, an eternal, lifelong journey, because understanding what's really in the notation, how the contextual evidence or whatever you want to call it, I hate the word evidence, that's very difficult, and you kind of can change that as well. The tempo is, of course, one of the main parameters of that decision, because if you change that parameter, you change everything. You change your color, you change articulation, you change everything. Frankly, I didn't check here with my tempo compared to Mozart and Beethoven. It's written over there, and I must have tried it once, but as I'm telling you, a lot of times when I'm going to perform that music, I kind of forget everything. You study the things that you think you have to study them. That's different for all of us. Then there is a second stage, so it works with me, that you're kind of reflecting on that. It's very easy to say, well, that does not fit into my way in which I see the piece, which is rightfully so, because we are entitled to play that music as we like to do that. Or you can say, well, I have some fixed parameters and I don't want to change them, I want to change my view, and it just works. That's the second stage. But in the third stage you perform, and your performance should convince, of course. And if things not work, you come back to the first stage, checking the facts, checking the notation, second stage, third stage. So it's a long time since I've checked my tempo and compared it to Beethoven. Mozart and Czerny, we don't have metronome numbers from Beethoven here. So my tempo is, try. I think around 100. I can show it to you. It's 100. So if I see under the quarter note, I see Czerny has literally half notes 69 to 100, and Mozart has a little bit slower, 160 for the quarter note. So if I take Czerny, that's the same tempo as I do. Oh, there's no sound now. So I can only see that's not interesting to show you because you won't see it. That's the same tempo. Mozart is a little bit slower. We check his tempo out. at least metrically. So 80 is really slower. Curious to see what the result is. So that's for me interesting to realize or to see or to because I start thinking about how can I, what do I have to change to make this tempo work, because it's a factor. It's a kind of watchless metronome is ticking like that. So you can also try to play it single beat. It's this. I think that's out of the question. So if I see then, if I realize 80 is slower than I'm doing, which is very rare because Chen is often slower than Mostas, but here it's the opposite, then it's interesting just to experiment and see where you come. And it takes a while. It takes a while. You have to close the piano or the clavichord and just go for a walk, and the music is playing in your head over and over and over again. That's how it works with me. And suddenly you come back to the instrument saying, hey, I didn't know that. That's new. And that's the reason why I'm so enthusiastic about sharing all that with you, because that's opening so much perspectives. And it's like, now like Moslis was talking to us, I mean, that's a silly metronome number, but that was his take on a certain moment, maybe in a dark November night or a beautiful spring evening when he was working on his edition, and he was just taking his metronome and he wrote a number of 160 quarter note. And we do whatever we want with that. But if you would walk into this room, you probably would take that tempo, and yeah, that's so fascinating. I'm going to see if I can access the live stream again and see if I missed something, and if not, I think that's it. Oh, Anya is saying that I've missed something. Ricardo from Portugal, just going through the chat now. It's a little bit impolite not to watch, to look at you, but okay, my Aunt Rita is here. Oh yeah, of course, in Portugal. We're going to Portugal probably for a small week, I think, but I don't know when. It's not settled yet. Maybe end of this year or next year. It's a whole trip. It's a really long trip for us. 2,300 kilometers, and I have to bring my clavichord. So I have to go by car. Okay. Bruce asks, is a knee pedal being used? Not at the clavichord here, of course. There's no pedal, and that I will close this clavichord again so you can see the piano. Okay. So that's a copy of a Fritz 1816 piano with 4 pedals. Joris did not copy the tsukes or the tambour, things like that, so the toys. Just 4 pedals, and it has no knee levers. It's a generation later. So Beethoven, later pieces. So Bruce's last tempo was motionless, 160 for the quarter note. Jenny apparently has taken my tempo metrically. So I have 100, Jenny writes 69, 96 to 100 for the half note. So meaning 96 are the, in German that's Zählzeiten, so Taktilen, which means in English is the beats, so to say, the ticks, and the half note is the periodic unity. So as we've been talking with the videos, Lawrence Guardians, you have the 2 points, you have the up and down, or you have the up, down, up. It doesn't matter actually, that the pendulum is back and forth, or forth and back, and back and forth is one unity. So it's tick, tick, tick. So if he writes half note 100, it's so the metronome is going like that on the pendle. Dum bum dum dum dee da dum. For the half notes you will play them in quarter notes, and Moshes write 160 for the quarter note, which makes 160 the parts, the beats, and the quarter note just the periodic time indication, which is again consisting out of 2 points. Just very short, it's like day and night. People ask, yeah, W's for the second, that's really out of question, that's nonsense. No, because they just use the same word for something else, because it was ticking in seconds. They say, well, that's the periodic second. But if you see our present understanding of day and night, next video with Lorenz will be about that. We say day to a period of 24 hours, meaning there are 2 parts. That's a period of the day, again the same word, but then in the understanding of 12 hours and 12 hours night. So 12 hours day, 12 hours night is one unity of a day. So if I would say I've been here today with Joris, nobody will think that I've been here 24 hours, but a part of a day. If I would say we have been 3 days in France, everybody would say 3 times 24 hours, so the periodic understanding 72 hours. So it's no confusion, it's very simple. But that was the Moshes tempo. Oh, I'm rambling so easy if I'm going to talk about tempo, I'm sorry. George, is there a video planned on the building of the piano? We have made some videos, but it was difficult to cover the project. Partly because, of course, Joris has his own rhythm of working on the instrument, and we live about 150 kilometers apart, which is essentially not a problem, but you have the Brussels agglomeration between us. That's kind of old iron curtain, we call that here in Belgium. So it's traffic jams from 5 o'clock in the morning until midnight. So it's very difficult to come. It's Sunday now, that's easy. So it was not easy for me to come very often and to cover that project as I would have liked, which was maybe also not possible because so many details needed to be rethought, and so I will be covering the piano in the future, of course, much more, and see what we can share with you from now on. So okay. Curso and recurso is one beat if it is recurso. I've learned that from Lorenz. Is that video already on? The latest one I think goes on Latin sources. He of course is a priest, he studied theological studies, so he reads fluently Latin. So curso recurso I believe means a full swing, and you have curso et recurso, that's something else. So it's like a respiratio, it's breathing in and out as one word, as one term, and you have also there a division. He is studying now a medical book, 16th century, which is talking about the way the systole and the diastole of the heartbeat is to be counted, and it's new for him, but interesting. We're going to use that in the book because he was very excited. He called me and said, that's the definition Mersenne used, and that's the definition Quantz is basing his work on. It's really, really, really exciting. But I suppose that's for another video. So I hope you like this Beethoven. Anja.
Questions. Last one of Miguel. No, first one of André. If you saw the video he sent you to see about Wagner, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I replied to that.
Okay.
That was the piano piece, so that might be a little bit too modern for that piano. So then you are in the world of the big era pianos as I have at home, and even later. But it's a beautiful piece actually, I didn't know that, and that's of course a period that's much later than the period I'm covering. So, but thank you very much for sending me that.
And Bruce asked, I don't know if you answered the question about if that was Czerny.
Yeah, I answered the question. It was Marcellus.
Then Michael de Lilo.
Yeah.
That's an interesting question also.
So I'd really find fascinating and appreciate the small series of video on clavichord. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I will be having some videos on keyboard techniques in general. I don't think there is a lot of difference between, well, let me rephrase this. If you compare the clavichord technique to that piano, there is of course a difference. But the difference is in balancing speed of your finger and our arm rate. That's kind of thing you have to adjust, but once you can play the clavichord, it should be easy to play the piano. I will be making, it's made already, I have made an extensive course on basic keyboard techniques. It's not published yet, it's 21 videos, 2 hours of footage, really going through every aspect that I think you should know, whether you play clavichord, harpsichord, piano, Steinway, synthesizer, whatever. It will make your play much easier, and I think also for some of you, if some things of that course is of course new to you, maybe more expressive as well. And I will be covering some aspects in regular videos and also making a summary on a few sheets of paper that you can download for free for that course. So that's coming up. I hope that answered your question with that. A lot of to be said about keyboard techniques. So, okay. Anja?
I think so. I don't see any.
Anja is happy.
Yes.
Okay, then I'm happy too. So I'm really glad that you are here with me in Tollenbeek, and now I'm dying from heat because everything is closed here. It must be 35 degrees here, and there is a light of 500 watts also shining. Hope you liked it. I'm really, it's great that I have been able to share with you some images of the piano. As said, we will make a small video with some better footage to share with you with a separate regular video, and share with you some details on the piano. So I'm really happy and really glad you were here. Okay.
What?
Oh.
Can we see, Luca asked if you can see a close-up from the thing.
The keyboard.
Keyboard.
Okay, well, let's try. You have to close your eyes then, because you will get seasick. It's just a simple webcam I'm using, so I'm going to take it. Sorry for the shaky images now. See how close I can come. That were my knees, nothing to worry about. Just very close. So that's the Beethoven keyboard. Really close. That's the closest I can get. So there has been done some work on the keyboard, or I don't know. So 6 octaves, which is basically not enough for Beethoven. He has 3 or 4 sonatas, I don't know by memory, which you really need some more keys in the bass. So my clavichord basically has 1 octave less. So my clavichord is until here, 5 octaves. Then they went to extend in the treble with 1 note to 2 notes. Waldstein is going to the A. Then you have the 5.5 octave until C. And then you have 6 octaves. And after that they went in the bass until C. But we decided not to make a piano until C. It's complicated. I will turn now to and show you some details as well of the piano. Here, going closer. So pianos that have a compass of 6.5 octaves, it's different in stability. So take you very close now. Okay. The webcam is attached to the computer, so I'm limited. Once we can upgrade a little bit to a new camera for the live streams, I can be more flexible. Okay, so hope there is some fresh, cool white wine waiting outside here, or Belgian beer. I can need that. I thank you all for being here tonight, and looking forward to share much more with the piano, and that instrument will be on Authentic Sound for a long time, and hopefully Joris is not in the, I can say it, September, October, I hope to have it in a playable condition. Maybe not at my place, but here. And then the exciting times are coming. Thanks again. See you next time. Next time will be, so Beethoven month is basically closing. We have some regular videos, an interesting video on Adolf Marx that you really don't want to miss. It's an unknown and forgotten Beethoven source. Some other videos, of course the release of the recording of the Beethoven Sonata itself last Tuesday of this month, and next month we're going to cover Well-Tempered Clavier 1 to 8 with every week a recording, every week a video on performance and technique. I will be making, of course, the Carl Manuel Bach series, continue with that. In between that I will be talking about the tradition from Bach to Beethoven, so tying into a question we had today. Interesting, I will talk about that later. That's a really interesting topic. I want to dive into that. The Saturday videos will be preserved for Lawrence, and in between I will start a new series reading the letters of C.P.E. Bach. Many of you have asked to share some letters. They are not accessible as they should, I think, so I decided to read them in very small episodes of a few minutes. And so we will have daily videos in July and August, and I think 16 live streams. So looking forward to that. Anya is not sweating. She knew that already. So looking forward to that, and having you there as well. So looking forward to that. I said that already. It's really hot here. Thanks for watching. Have a nice evening, depending on the place on this planet where you live. Night, morning, midday, whatever, and hope to see you soon again. Bye.